There's a lot of talk of the importance of concentration tonight. Was that just a momentary lapse of concentration for the Genk goal?
Set pieces, they're always going to be dangerous. That's tough, we made, 6 changes again tonight, and when you're doing that, one of the hardest bits to pick up, the team shape, but more important than that is the set pieces and people doing different jobs to what they normally do, so it's not always easy, but, we should do better at the set play, but it's something to look at and improve on.
Alex, I think every Liverpool fan held their breath when they saw you go down in that first half, but no lasting damage, although you have got an ice pack on the ankle. How is it?
Yeah, it's just a kick. Millie has them every day and gets on with it, so I've got no excuses. But just a kick, and caught me nicely. It's a bit of a sore one, but no, I'm all good.
Still on the score sheet as well, another goal for you. Are you back to where you want to be and the level you want to be at?
Not yet. I feel like I'm getting better with every sort of game physically, and how I feel I can keep going and trying to affect the game. But I think there's more to come for me, both defensively, being in the right positions, and pressing with the right intensity. Millie was talking about the intensity that is expected from us game after game, and it takes a little while to get that back. So I think I've still got a bit of improving there to do, but I think I'm getting better with that. And it's nice to be chipping in with the odd goal as well. Obviously it helps for confidence and how you're feeling. So no, I'm happy with how it's gone. But tonight, it was really important. We just got 3 points to push on in the group a bit further, and we managed to do that in the end. And we had to defend well at times, and like Millie said, a bit sloppy at other times. But overall, 3 points, we're happy with that.
Back-to-back home games in the Champions League, but Napoli will provide another challenge, won't they?
Yeah, we know every game's tough in the Champions League. It's an old boring saying, but teams are good teams to be here, and you've seen how good they are, and people don't expect a lot of them. So it's always tough. You just have to win your home games. Hopefully, we can keep doing that. That's the main thing. But we've got to finish the job now. We're in a good position.
Thanks for talking to us.
Thank you.
Well played, those two. So Liverpool grinding out a result tonight. If you're across the other games this evening, you will know this was the game of the evening. There was nowhere else you would rather have been tonight, and tomorrow night plenty more football coming your way as well. Peter's going to be busy again. He will be back here in the chair for Red Star Belgrade up against Tottenham tomorrow evening. There's also going to be Atalanta against Manchester City. And not done tonight for Liverpool. These are the rest of the results from around Europe. I'll just draw your attention to Barcelona 0, Slavia Prague 0, the shock result of the night. Dortmund were actually 2-1 down. They won their game 3-2. But take a look there in Group H. Chelsea 4, Ajax 4. Chelsea were 4-1 down. Ajax went down to 9 men. Azpilicueta got a winner for Chelsea. That was then ruled out by VAR. They could have won it 5-4. It ended 4-4. A really stunning night. And of course, you can see the highlights of all of those games in the highlights show from 10:30. Matt is standing by. He'll be here in about half an hour for that. Just to show you, though, how the group table looks after Liverpool's win this evening. And they are top. It was a good night for them with Napoli dropping points. So Liverpool go top. They can guarantee progression from the group stages next time out if they get a win. In fact, they could progress without a win if Napoli drop points in that one, which they would if Liverpool won, of course. Well, a really interesting night. Take a look there at the stats from the evening. It would have been an injustice, wouldn't it, if Liverpool hadn't won tonight, Peter?
Total injustice, yeah. I mean, they dominated the game, although it wasn't vintage, as I said. They would have preferred it to be a lot easier. I think they could have killed the game off. They had the chances. There's 28 shots there they've had on goal. They dominated the game, but it could have been a lot easier for them.
Why doesn't it feel convincing tonight when you look at the numbers there? It should feel like Liverpool had a great night, but it's...
Yeah, I think Liverpool had chances. I don't think they had any real glaring ones. Origi's in the first half was a very good chance, but as much as there was a lot of shots, there weren't any, howlers, let's say. But they were on top all game. As I say, they will get better and better and better as the season goes on, just like they did last season. The bigger the teams that come along, the more it sharpens your focus as a big player, which all of those players on the pitch there were today, and they'll get better. There's no question. I'm pretty calm about it.
Talking of big games, there's a big one coming up this weekend. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain is knocking on the door to start big games now for Liverpool. Has he done enough tonight? He got taken off after 75 minutes. Could you see him starting at the weekend? Not quite.
I don't think he's quite ready yet. I think he was really honest in his interview there. He said he's not pressing with as much intensity as he could be. He's getting up to full fitness, but what he is doing is scoring goals, and it's a priceless commodity to have. I just think he's not quite there to be starting games with the magnitude of the weekend, but he's knocking on the door, as you say. But at the moment, I think that Liverpool got a settled side. Why would you change a winning team? They're winning every single week. Not always the most comfortable, but they're winning, and I think they'll keep the same side.
And that's some finish. He's not got any momentum running onto the ball. He stood still basically and just swiveled, and to get that power out of his left foot was brilliant. It was a great run as well by Keita. Naby Keita just on the outside pulled the full-back away from him just to give him that little bit of space.
From a different looking side tonight, what were you happy with? What were you not so pleased with?
Oh, pretty much the only thing I'm not happy with is what we didn't do well. We didn't finish our situations off in the way we could have done. Obviously, we had a lot of chances, a lot of shots on target. Not too many shots on target, but a lot of finishes, which big chances, if you want, really big chances, which we usually use, and we don't do that. That keeps the game open. That one set piece, what they had, gave them obviously a lot of energy. A goal they scored was a good goal. Have to defend better, but it was anyway a good goal, and so that kept them really alive. They had to work a lot, couldn't close the spaces really. We came anyway in the box, but at the end, if you only score one, they score one, then it's a lot of effort, and the game starts new in the second half pretty much. We scored that wonderful goal from Ox, I think pretty early again. That was good, and then we again didn't finish the situations off, and that keeps them just in the game, and now they got more confidence, stuff like we felt the intensity. We had the good thing is that the players came all through, but you saw after a while it's hard when you don't have the rhythm. Ox dropped a little bit in different areas, but Divock even it was hard obviously, so rhythm is really important, and we saw that then at the end of the game that it was not there. So we came a little bit in trouble, not really, but a little bit. Oh, and now it's 2-1. The plan was to win the game. We did that, so job done.
One clean sheet in 9 games. You're getting the results, of course, which is the priority, but how much of a worry, a concern is that?
It's not really a worry, to be honest, but it's, of course, not what we want. But when you see the goal, so all the goals we conceded now, I only remember really the last 4 probably. They were completely different, even when the Aston Villa goal was a set piece, but it was in the far post area. So nothing happened today in the far post area, but the first post area this time. Then against Tottenham, deflected, after that. These are all things you can summarize and say that's all goals we concede, true, but they're all different. So it's not about defending, it's about in the situations being 100% spot on. Obviously, and we were not spot on in these situations. That's what we have to we know that, and what we have to work on and what we will do.
You can now look forward to the weekend. Do you feel in the best shape to welcome City on Sunday?
Yeah, it's a different competition. Today it was strange. We always this Saturday, Tuesday is really difficult. You can't really train. You just to change a little bit and you have to go again. That's how it is. And we were the clear favorite tonight. And how I said, if we score 2 or 3 in the first half, nobody would think, how did that happen? That was the opportunity we had, opportunities we had, but we didn't do. And so it was 1-1. And then it gets, a bit tricky, and that's what I experience in my life very, very often. But so now it's all good. We are in the best possible shape, but now we have to recover. Obviously, that's what we will do. Tomorrow will be a nice recovery day for everybody, and then from Thursday on we prepare Man City.
And we know you can put 2 quality teams together, and we learned tonight that that's what you will have to do next month. I know that seems a long way off at the moment, but with the Club World Cup and the League Cup, how do you fear that will be disruptive with such a busy December?
Sorry, bounced out of the picture. We will see. Final decision about the teams we line up is not made, but of course we have to. We will be in Qatar, so it's not it's not that we can play here, play the next day, and then go and then play maybe the final or not, or for the other the little final for the 3rd place. So it's not fine. We have to be decided now because all the other alternatives were just not doable for us. It was like, how will that happen? And would have been really difficult for Aston Villa as well. Because if we move that game, nobody knows exactly where to move it, and it's the FA Cup or the first semi-final we played in the quarter-final and all this stuff. That doesn't work out. So we decided that now, and now we have a little bit time to think it through how we will start these games.
Thank you, Jürgen.
You're welcome.
Okay, so he will think it through. We will do a bit of thinking it through as well. 2 games, 2 continents, less than 24 hours. They'll have 2 squads. How's he going to work?
I think he'll probably put a lesser team out against Aston Villa, or a similar team that he's put in previous rounds. I think he'll save some of his bigger guns to go out and play in Qatar. It's a trophy that Liverpool have not won before. I think Jurgen Klopp would like to win that, just to pretty much have the clean sweep. So I think that's how he'll do it, but plenty of time to think about it.
I played in it in 2006 in Japan, and we were all over the place. You fly in, get one day to sort of adjust, and straight into the games. It was a bizarre scenario, but the squads these days, I think, can cope with it.
You think?
I think so. I mean, it seems ridiculous, the amount of games in such a short space of time, but it's something they have to cope with, and I think they've got the squad to do that.
So the situation is they have to field a team largely similar to what they fielded in previous rounds of the League Cup. So what they tended to do is go with sort of 5 youth team players, 5 kids, and then 6 first-teamers, but they're what we would call their first-choice Premier League 11. None of them have featured yet in the League Cup this season. So do you think we're going to see a first-choice Premier League 11 and then a load of youngsters maybe to fill the bench out in Qatar, and he'll stick largely with who he's been playing in the League Cup? Because you're going to have some frustrated first-team players if they're playing against Aston Villa, seeing others fly off to Qatar to play in what's, I suppose, the more prestigious of the 2 games.
Yeah, but I think you've got to remember that's almost that game a day after the League Cup is almost a semi-final. So then I'm not sure whether the rest of the squad can fly out or not, whether they've got to keep the same squad in Qatar or not. But then the final is on the 21st of December, I think. So that then will change things again. So hopefully that's avoided.
Yeah. So they've got a squad of 23 for the Club World Cup. So what they could do, they could not fill the bench. They have to put 12 players on the bench, but they could half fill the bench with 6 players, play the Aston Villa game, and then the 6 most senior players from the Villa game could then fly out to Qatar for the final, couldn't they?
Yes.
Or are we overthinking?
You are, yeah.
We're overthinking a few games that no one really cares that much about. Is that the problem?
Should we just focus on Man City on the weekend?
Probably. It's probably the game that matters a bit more. Maybe we are thinking too much about a couple of games that don't matter. Let's talk about Man City on the weekend. They're in good shape. What's it going to be like now around the training ground for the next couple of games ahead of that City game? Top of the league, top of the Champions League group. As we know, they've done well in the League Cup. They're through in that as well. It should feel great there the next 2 or 3 days, shouldn't it?
Oh, listen, they're winning every week. We're sitting here talking about how they can improve defensively. They're top of the Champions League group and they're top of the Premier League. Things couldn't be better for Liverpool. They're going into that full of confidence, although City is such a good side, obviously. But I think they've got to be full of confidence. They're at Anfield, and they've got to believe they can win that. And I think if they do, they're in pole position for the league.
It's funny, though, isn't it, that we're sitting here and we talk about the great results, but it doesn't feel like they're yet firing on all cylinders. It doesn't feel like they're flowing like they did last year.
Well, it is mad when you look at the league table. Yeah. If you've not watched performances, you just look at the league table and look at the Champions League table, you'd think, wow, Liverpool have just continued from last season. And, OK, they're not playing quite as well on a consistent basis, but they're still playing well. They're still winning all their games. They're still very confident, and no one can look at them and think, oh wow, there's worries to be had. Everyone knows, everyone watched them last season. We can all see that they're going to get better and better as the league goes on, and the bigger the game, the more these big players will rise to the challenge starting this Sunday.
And there's no concerns now in this competition. I mean, they win the next game, they're through.
Yeah, they're in a great position, like you say, in the Premier League and in Europe, and like you say, I think one more game and they're through.
Well, listen, thanks for your company this evening. I mean, we would much have rather been here than at Stamford Bridge, right?
Of course, yeah.
We wanted to be at the Chelsea game. What happened in that game, man? Tonight was great. Listen, do you think it will be before we're saying, right, he's ready now, till he feels ready?
He's not far off. He's really not far off. That was an improvement on the last game he played, and he's playing to such a high level and expects that on himself. And I think he'll get there very soon. Okay, well that's a positive as he looks to get better and better. Let's talk about Liverpool's defending this evening. Look, we're not just focusing on this because it's a blip, and tonight they look like they were giving away some easy opportunities to Genk. Like, this is a recurring theme for Liverpool at the moment, and this is a team who, in previous seasons, we've praised the defending. Yeah, I know stats will say that, and the pictures will say that, don't get me wrong. There's a bit of sharpening up to do. On the back post here we see 3 against 1 against Trent. He does brilliantly well. This is a wicked corner to defend, right into the near post. The Ox gets just caught under it. You just see him here. He has a little glance. He thinks, I can't let anybody... The main thing there is don't let anyone get in front of you. But at the expense of getting sucked under the ball, it's a tricky one. So Liverpool will be disappointed with that. And there were chances, more chances than we expected for Genk, I think, in this game. But
as I say, you know, I'm just not worried. I just think the more and more, the longer and longer the season goes, the more and more everybody sharpens up. And, you know, they are conceding a lot of goals. I was counting before, I think 14 goals or something in the last 8 games.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Liverpool
There they are.
conceded. I mean, look at that, staggering.
1 clean sheet in 9.
I know, but look at the results, which is just, you know, you concede all those goals, 14 in 8 games. Is it 7 games? 8 games. And you still only drop 2 points. You go through in a cup competition. You're virtually through now in the Champions League with 2 wins in that sequence.
You can't keep doing that, though, can you?
Well, so if you play as expansive as Liverpool do, the full-backs bombing on. At times, they're leaving 2 at the back with Fabinho just in front. You are going to concede chances, and they just think that they're going to score more than the rest, and that seems to be the case at the moment. OK, well, if you're going to concede, you need to score. There was a nice little rest this evening for Firmino and Mane. Salah got his opportunity. I'm really interested to hear from the two of you how you're sort of reading his game at the moment.
The way I read his game is I think he's... you can tell that his game has changed over years. When, you know, 5 years ago, watching him play, he would be beating players out wide. He'd be laying balls on. Of course, he got the assist tonight, but he just looks to me nowadays like a really, really hungry player for goals, almost to the state that he's obsessed by goals. And that's definitely developed over the years with him. He never used to be obsessed with goals, but now he's getting a taste of it. Now he's won golden boots. Now he's sort of being the main man. It's almost like he feels a huge pressure to score all the time. That's how I read him when I watch him play. I never ever think he's going to pass in front of goal. It's almost like he's got a one-track mind. And there's nothing wrong with that. Certainly not a criticism. But it's just amazing or intriguing how he's sort of evolved over the years into being this real hungry goal-getter now.
Yeah, I totally agree. He's so hungry for goals. When he gets in those positions, me and Mo will say, he's not passing this. You just know he's not passing because he's so hungry for goals. And I suppose